You know, when you think about the underlying plumbing of the global financial system, the one you interact with every single day, it's incredibly easy to picture this sleek, perfectly oiled machine.
Right, yeah, because the front-end apps look so modern.
Exactly. But if you peel back the interface of your banking app, you are looking at a system built for a completely different century. I mean, it's a fragmented network of disconnected tracks.
Totally.
And every single switch requires a human operator like clearinghouses, prime brokers, correspondent banks, all of them having to physically pull a lever just to reconcile a ledger.
Yeah, it relies entirely on physical intermediaries at every single checkpoint. And, you know, every one of those checkpoints introduces friction, it introduces cost, and, well, most importantly, time.
Time, exactly the problem. And for a long time, the narrative was that decentralized finance like DeFi was just this chaotic experimental playground for early crypto adopters, right? Like a beta test running in the background.
Which it kind of was for a while.
Yeah, it was. But today, we are taking you on a deep dive to unpack a massive phase shift. We're looking at a stack of sources that detail the exact moment DeFi stops being that experimental playground and, you know, actually transforms into the foundational infrastructure for global finance.
Yeah, the data is really clear on this transition.
It's wild, and we're going to preview the three main pillars of this shift that keep coming up in the sources, which are permission pools, KYC DeFi, and regulated liquidity.
And setting the context for all this, the material we're analyzing points to a very specific reality here. Institutions aren't coming on chain to, like, destroy decentralization.
Right.
They are here to create what's called institutional composability, which is essentially the process of rebuilding the entirety of traditional finance, but on programmable rails.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we get into exactly how massive financial institutions are migrating on chain, we really need to understand the mechanics of why they're doing it.
Yeah, the motivation is key.
Right, because Wall Street is not adopting this technology out of some, like, ideological love for crypto. They don't care about the ethos. They view it purely as a vastly superior back-end upgrade.
Exactly. Institutions, they don't adopt new technology just for the sake of novelty. They adopt it because it fixes a massive inefficiency. So take the traditional train system you just mentioned.
Yeah.
In traditional finance, if a major corporate treasury wants to execute a complex cross-border trade, they are trapped in what we call T+2 settlement.
T+2, yeah.
Right, so it takes the trade date plus 2 full business days for the assets to actually finally change hands.
And for a retail user, you know, maybe 2 days doesn't sound terrible. I wait 2 days for a transfer. But what does that actually mean for an institution that's moving billions of dollars?
I mean, it means the capital is just dead for 48 hours. Yeah, when you execute a massive trade, you have to lock up margin. So that capital is just sitting in purgatory. It's earning absolutely no yield and acting as a massive drag on the balance sheet. And they're just waiting for all those human operators to reconcile their databases.
Just manually checking boxes.
Basically, yeah. So when an institution looks at DeFi, they see atomic settlement. The execution of the trade and the settlement of the trade are literally the exact same event. It happens in the millisecond, the block is validated.
See, so we aren't just speeding up the old trains here. We're talking about like a maglev system running on automated magnetic code. The tracks basically route themselves.
That's a great way to put it.
But I have to push back here.
Okay, go for it.
If this maglev system is so vastly superior, if atomic settlement and, you know, programmable financial products are such obvious game changers, why hasn't traditional Wall Street simply bought all the tracks and taken over already? I mean, why is this transition taking years?
Well, what's fascinating here is that they hit a massive compliance wall.
A compliance wall.
Yeah. A heavily regulated financial institution cannot just, you know, dump $50 million into an anonymous open source liquidity pool.
Oh, right, because they don't know who's in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's flat out illegal. They're bound by anti-money laundering laws, really strict risk frameworks, and complex regulatory reporting standards. They literally cannot interact with an unknown counterparty.
So they're just stuck.
Yeah, they're standing on one side of a massive chasm, looking at the efficiency of this high-speed rail on the other side, and they realize they need a bridge.
And that diplomatic bridge is the first major phase shift we need to look at, which the sources call the rise of permissioned pools.
Right.
This is basically the layer being built right now to negotiate between the totally open mechanics of DeFi and the incredibly strict rules of traditional finance.
Yeah, because institutions want to do all the things that native DeFi users do.
Yeah.
Right? They want to lend, you want to borrow, provide liquidity, and earn yield.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly.
Correct.
But they need guaranteed guardrails before their compliance officers will actually sign off on any of it.
So the way I am picturing this, and tell me if this tracks, it's like a VIP room in a really chaotic nightclub.
Okay, I like this.
Right. So out on the main dance floor, it is just open DeFi. It's totally permissionless. Anyone can walk in. No one knows anyone else's real name. Just total chaos.
Yep.
But the institutional guests, they can't party like that. They need a VIP room. It's the exact same party, the exact same underlying smart contracts playing the music. But there are bouncers checking IDs at the door. That way, the guests inside know exactly who they are trading with. And we're seeing this with platforms like Avavark, Maple Finance, and Clearpool, right?
That analogy actually maps perfectly to the protocol level. So take a platform like Maple Finance, which is creating institutional credit markets on-chain.
Sure.
In traditional finance, if a corporation wants, say, a $50 million loan, it requires weeks of syndication, literal armies of lawyers drafting bespoke contracts, escrow agents, and massive back-office overhead just to facilitate the agreement.
Oh, it's a logistical nightmare.
It really is. But on Maple Finance, the smart contract replaces the escrow agent, the lawyer, and the execution engine.
Wow, just completely automated.
Right. Pool delegates evaluate the creditworthiness of the borrower off-chain, but the actual loan issuance, the collateral management, and the yield distribution, all of that is handled entirely on-chain by immutable code. The back office is essentially entirely automated.
And because it's a permission pool, the lenders supplying the capital to that specific pool have absolute certainty that the borrower has been fully vetted, right?
Yes.
It is entirely fenced off from the anonymous mainnet. Which makes sense. I know Avark and Clearpool are doing similar things, basically taking their core open source lending mechanics and just, slapping a compliance wrapper around them.
Precisely. It retains the automated execution and the transparent ledgers of decentralized finance, but it finally introduces identity and oversight.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because going back to the nightclub thing, you cannot have that VIP room without a bouncer checking IDs.
Right, you have to prove who you are.
Exactly. And that forces the entire ecosystem to solve what sounds like an impossible, contradictory technical hurdle. Like, how do you actually prove who you are on a blockchain that was fundamentally designed to broadcast every single transaction to the entire public?
Yeah, it's a massive paradox.
Right. If JP Morgan proves who they are to enter a pool, wouldn't they be doxing their wallet and revealing their proprietary trading strategies to, every competitor in the world?
That is the ultimate friction point. And what you're touching on here is KYC DeFi, Know Your Customer Decentralized Finance.
Okay.
Now, in the open crypto space, this is obviously highly controversial.
Oh, yeah. People hate the idea.
Because it seemingly violates the foundational ethos of total anonymity. But to solve the exact problem you just brought up, the industry had to develop what is arguably a cryptographic miracle.
A miracle.
Yeah, it's called privacy-preserving compliance.
Okay, wait. Privacy-preserving compliance? I mean, that sounds like a complete oxymoron. How can a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund be fully compliant with rigid KYC laws while also preserving the privacy of their corporate data?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's solved through something called zero-knowledge proofs. This is the underlying technology powering ZK KYC systems.
Zero-knowledge proofs.
Right. A zero-knowledge proof basically allows you to mathematically prove that a statement is true without actually revealing the underlying data that makes it true.
Okay, let me see if I get this. So it's like proving to a bartender that I am over 21 without actually showing them my driver's license, my home address, or my exact birth date.
Exactly. That is exactly what it is, but applied to global financial regulation.
Okay, that's wild.
So let's say a major institution needs to interact with a smart contract, right?
Right.
And the smart contract requires a guarantee that the institution is not on a government sanctions list. Off-chain, a trusted auditor verifies the institution's identity and issues them a cryptographic credential.
Okay, so the institution holds that credential privately.
Right. And then when they go to enter the permission pool, a cryptographic circuit checks the credential against the requirements.
So it does the check without looking at the raw data.
Exactly. The circuit outputs a simple Boolean just true or false. Yes, they pass the check, or no, they don't. The smart contract executes the trade based purely on that true signal. The underlying data, like the corporate name, the jurisdiction, the tax ID, it never even touches the public blockchain.
Man, that completely reframes how I think about identity online. So the bouncer checks the math, not the face.
That's a great way to summarize it.
It basically means identity becomes a new cryptographic primitive. It solves the paradox completely, doesn't it? The compliance officers get the verified counterparties they legally require, but the traders don't have to broadcast their sensitive corporate data to the entire public ledger.
Yeah, and this is exactly why infrastructure builders mentioned in the sources like Polygon ID, WorldCoin's Proof of Personhood, Civic Pass, and various other ZK KYC systems are so critical right now.
They're laying the foundation.
Yeah, they're laying the digital concrete for this bridge.
So if we successfully given these institutions a private VIP room, and we've got a ZK bouncer to check IDs without leaking sensitive data, what exactly are they doing once they get inside? Which brings us to the ultimate destination of this infrastructure upgrade, right? Regulated liquidity.
Yes. This is where the actual market structure fundamentally shifts. Because we are moving beyond just isolated fenced-off pools. The liquidity pools themselves are effectively evolving into autonomous financial institutions.
I'm still honestly trying to wrap my head around this concept. We are talking about regulated stablecoin liquidity, tokenized treasury markets, and institutional AMM's automated market makers.
Right.
Now, for anyone who has tracked the crypto space, you already know how AMMs completely revolutionized retail trading by just eliminating the middleman entirely. But applying this to institutional block trading, that seems like a totally different beast. I mean, how does an institutional AMM actually price a massive corporate trade differently than a traditional broker-dealer?
Well, to understand that, you have to look at the friction in traditional order books. Wall Street right now relies on limit order books.
Which requires matching buyers and sellers.
Exactly. It requires matching a specific buyer to a specific seller at a specific price. Human market makers have to constantly quote bids and asks. But if a whale drops a massive, say, $100 million order into a traditional order book, it eats through all the available offers. And that causes massive price impact. We call that slippage.
Right, so the price actually moves against you while you are in the middle of trying to execute the trade.
Exactly. And during times of really high market volatility, traditional human market makers, they tend to pull their capital back to protect themselves.
Which makes sense for them.
Sure, but it completely dries up liquidity exactly when traders need it most. An AMM, on the other hand, replaces all that human panic with a passive pool of assets governed entirely by a mathematical formula. The classic formula is X times Y equals K. You aren't trading against a person anymore. You're trading against the code.
But wait, early retail AMMs suffered from terrible slippage on large orders too, didn't they? Because the liquidity was just spread out across an infinite price curve. So how does an institutional AMM fix that for a $100 million block trade?
That's the upgrade. They fix it by utilizing concentrated liquidity and an expansion request for quote or RFQ models built directly into the smart contracts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, institutional AMMs allow verified market makers to concentrate their capital in extremely tight price bands. So this replicates the depth of a traditional broker-dealer, but with the atomic execution of a smart contract. The smart contract basically acts as the counterparty, and it automatically adjusts the price based on the ratio of assets in the pool.
Wow.
Yeah, there are no human intermediaries, no delays, and you get highly predictable slippage models, even for massive corporate trades.
It's just wild to think about. You have this liquidity pool, which at the end of the day is just a bunch of code living on a decentralized network, operating completely autonomously, and yet it is handling volume and meeting the exact same stringent regulatory standards as a massive brick-and-mortar bank in downtown Manhattan.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
No branch managers, no compliance officers manually checking spreadsheets, just pure regulated efficiency operating at the speed of the internet.
And the capital efficiency is unparalleled. A tokenized treasury market running on these rails can settle instantly at any hour of the day or night with absolute cryptographic certainty. The liquidity basically becomes smart, autonomous, and fully compliant.
So what does this all mean for the broader ecosystem? Because, I mean, we've painted this picture of a highly efficient, regulated, institutional utopia here.
Right.
But every major infrastructure upgrade has collateral damage. If Wall Street effectively moves in and gentrifies the neighborhood, we have to look at the shadow side of this shift. Like, what happens to the original rebellious spirit of DeFi?
This raises an important question, and honestly, it's the most critical tension in the space right now. When you bring in massive institutions, you inherently bring in the risk of regulatory capture.
Yeah, of course.
The fear is that the very entities DeFi was built to disrupt end up dictating the architecture of the entire network.
Right. And if all the major liquidity, like the real institutional money, migrates exclusively to these VIP permission pools, the open permissionless pools just get completely starved of capital, don't they?
Yeah, we call that fragmented liquidity. The real power of decentralized trading comes from having deep, unified pools of capital. If you lock half the money behind a ZK KYC bouncer, the entire system becomes significantly less efficient for the people who are left out on the open dance floor.
That makes a lot of sense.
But there's an even bigger risk, which is what this does to composability.
Oh, the money Legos concept.
Exactly. The original magic of DeFi was that anyone could plug any protocol into any other protocol without ever asking for permission. You could take a yield-bearing token from one protocol, use it as collateral in a second protocol, just to borrow an asset for a third protocol. And you could do all of that in a single, seamless transaction.
But if that second protocol suddenly requires a zero-knowledge proof that you pass some corporate KYC check,
then the Lego doesn't snap anymore.
wow, the chain just breaks.
Yeah, the chain breaks. The friction returns. If you have to pass complex compliance checks just to route a transaction through a smart contract, you lose the permissionless interoperability that created such a rapid, breakneck velocity of innovation in the first place.
It really feels like we are watching the ecosystem walk a high wire here. They're trying to absorb trillions of dollars in institutional capital, which obviously requires these massive compliance bridges, but they're trying to do it without completely suffocating the decentralized architecture that makes the technology valuable to begin with.
A really delicate balance.
So where does this all land? Based on everything we've unpacked from the sources today, what is the ultimate architecture going forward?
The consensus across the material really points toward a highly complex hybrid future.
Hybrid, okay.
Yeah, it will not be an all-or-nothing scenario where institutions entirely crush retail or retail completely rejects institutions. We're going to see an interconnected web.
Like different layers?
Exactly. We will have open, permissionless pools for the crypto natives, the experimental developers, and the retail innovators. Running right in parallel to that, we will have the permission pools acting as that diplomatic bridge. And then anchoring the whole system, we will see massive, regulated institutional liquidity networks.
And the institutions, they'll use those specific regulated rails for things like corporate treasury management, running vast credit markets, and executing instant cross-border settlements.
Exactly. The permission pools basically open the door. Then the ZK KYC technologies built a secure, privacy-preserving corridor. And now, regulated liquidity is laying down the permanent foundation.
It is so important to step back and just realize what we are actually witnessing here. As you listen to this, you are literally watching the real-time upgrading of the global financial system.
Yeah, it's happening right in front of us.
The underlying plumbing of the world's money is being ripped out and replaced. DeFi isn't going to replace traditional finance, it is going to absorb it. The disconnected manual train tracks are being meticulously rebuilt into an autonomous maglev system, track by track, while the trains are still running.
It is a monumental technical achievement.
It really is. It's brilliant and honestly a little awe-inspiring. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over.
Oh, this should be good.
Well, we've talked extensively today about this massive gentrification of the DeFi space by legacy finance, right? But think about the innovators, the anonymous coders and rebels who built this incredible technology in the first place, specifically because they wanted to escape the control of those exact same mega banks.
Right, the early adopters.
Yeah, if the massive institutions manage to perfectly capture, regulate, and completely dominate this foundational layer of programmable finance, will that next generation of financial innovators just accept it? Or will they look at the newly regulated high-speed rail, abandon it entirely, and just go back underground to start building a brand new, wildly unpermissioned financial ecosystem all over again?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wanna hear you go.